As President Trump intensifies his attacks on Canada's dairy industry, imposing crippling tariffs, Ottawa is making strategic moves that many didn't see coming. Can multi-billion-dollar investments in new trade routes reshape Canada's economic future and give it a competitive edge over the U.S.? While Trump's focus is on his $1.2 trillion America First bill, which includes slashing Medicaid, boosting defense spending, and narrowly passing through the Senate, Canada is taking a distinctly different approach. While the U.S. goes after Canadian industries, Canada is doubling down on its economic strength, focusing on expanding business and building robust trade connections. As part of this, Canada has announced countermeasures to shield its steel and aluminum workers from the unjust U.S. tariffs still in place. Starting July 21st, Canada will adjust its existing tariffs on U.S. steel and aluminum products. In a move that's more about forward-thinking strategy than politics, Ottawa made a significant business decision just days before the implementation of a controversial 3% digital services tax, scrapping it entirely. This single action cleared the path for renewed negotiations with Washington, but it also signified a shift from tech to dairy, where Trump has been ratcheting up the pressure. On Fox News, the president labeled Canada very nasty on trade, accusing Ottawa of slapping U.S. farmers with tariffs as high as 400% on dairy products. He has used his platform on Truth Social to continue warning of further tariffs if Canada doesn't dismantle its supply management system. From Trump's perspective, Canada's system is just plain protectionism, but in Ottawa, the message couldn't be clearer. Supply management is here to stay. However, experts believe that negotiating around this issue will be one of the toughest challenges in the upcoming talks. As tensions continue to rise, Canada isn't just talking, it's making bold investments. Just this week, Aluminary Alouette, a Quebec-based aluminum giant, announced plans to inject up to $1.1 billion into modernizing its smelter in Septeau. With backing from Hydro-Quebec's clean energy and a strategic power deal securing low-cost carbon-neutral electricity, this is a direct response to the new U.S. tariffs on aluminum. The move demonstrates that Canada is seizing opportunities amid the disruption caused by Trump's policies. Quebec already produces 70% of North America's aluminum, and as U.S. manufacturers face increased costs due to the tariffs, Canada's producers are doubling down on their efforts. The investment in Aluminary Alouette will not only upgrade production lines and reduce emissions, but also solidify Canada's standing in the global supply chain. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned for more updates and content. We've got plenty more coming your way. The expansion will create nearly 900 jobs and ramp up production to over 630,000 metric tons annually, reinforcing Canada's trade leverage. Industry Minister Melanie Joly, on a visit to Rio Tinto's Arvida plant, emphasized that we're in a tariff war with aluminum, steel, and automobiles at the forefront. She also promised further support for Canadian manufacturers, though she acknowledged frustrations with the federal process. Companies, she said, struggle with complex forms, which can be as long as 50 pages. Joly's message was direct. Trump's unpredictability makes Canada's long-term strategies even more urgent. Canada needs to reduce its dependence on the U.S. and expand its global reach, especially as Trump's policies become more erratic. Canada must look eastward toward markets in Europe, Asia, and beyond. And despite the rising tensions over dairy and tariffs, Canada's trade statistics are telling a different story. In May, exports to the U.S. dropped to just 68.3% of total exports, the lowest share in recent years. But on the flip side, exports to the rest of the world are booming. Canada's overall trade deficit narrowed sharply, falling to 5.9 billion Canadian dollars from a record 7.6 billion the previous month. What made the difference? Strong global demand, especially for metals and energy. Canadian gold exports to the UK jumped over 30% in May, and crude oil exports to Singapore and aluminum shipments to Italy also set new records. Furthermore, Canada's pork exports to Japan saw a 13% increase, reflecting global demand for high-quality Canadian food products. Thanks to trade agreements like CPTPP in the Pacific and CCA in Europe, Canada's agri-food sector is thriving, with farmers pushing into new markets where sustainability and quality command a premium. Meanwhile, Canada is turning to renewable energy, with federal support pouring into hydrogen projects along the Atlantic coast and refueling networks linked to European export plans. The shift away from fossil fuels toward clean energy trade is clear, but Canada is also gaining traction in manufacturing and high-tech sectors. The battery supply chain is speeding up, with new facilities in Ontario and Manitoba set to produce materials for electric vehicle plants. Aerospace exports nearing $19 billion are leveraging both public and private partnerships to develop next-generation materials and technologies. But the goal isn't just to export raw materials, it's to add value to Canadian goods. Minister Mélanie Joly is pushing for quicker approvals of major projects, aiming to cut approval times from 5 years to just 2. Her broader plan includes streamlining processes, providing liquidity to small and medium-sized businesses, and using defense procurement to stimulate demand for Canadian steel and aluminum. On the academic front, Canada is looking to strengthen its research sector by attracting global talent. While academic freedom is under threat in the U.S., Canada sees an opportunity to become a haven for scholars, welcoming them with open arms. As Joly put it, while they weaken, Canada will strengthen. While they close, Canada will open. This strategy, pivoting away from reliance on one volatile neighbor, is beginning to show results. New trade corridors are opening, and Canadian products, from aluminum to pork to pharmaceuticals, are finding strong international markets. With this momentum, Canada could reduce its trade deficit even further, setting the stage for a more independent and resilient economic future. In the face of unpredictable U.S. tariffs and political uncertainty, Canada is quietly adapting, steadily and on its own terms. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned for more updates and content. We've got plenty more coming your way.